Check us out on social media, Facebook and Instagram, RainierAvenueRadio.world, and on Twitter at Rainier Ave Radio.
If you or a family member are 55 or over and need nursing home level care, but want to keep living where you are, check out Providence Elder Place PACE. This program offers healthcare, housing, transportation, and recreational activities. There are no co-pays or deductibles, and it's covered through Medicare and Medicaid. Providence Elder Place PACE works to keep you healthy and in your home. Call 206-320-5325 or visit providence.org Elder Place. Providence.org Elder Place.
Rainier Avenue Radio presents All Music, All Day Saturday. Music, all day Saturday.
This is Edwin Bailey, Bulldog Blue.
Jazz from the Cabinets.
That's right. It's time once again for Jazz from the Cabinets with Big Poppy.
Start time.
Thanks for tuning in. My name is Paul Pierce. This is Start Time.
Saturdays, all music, all day. Reggae Hour, K-Fox Night.
Looking for the perfect beat? Yeah, it's the beat of the box.
Fresh Juice with D-Money in there.
Myself, Blue Money. Pint Size Patron.
Taylor Hart.
This is Spencia, the Northwest Rap Gang.
DJ Medina, Chad Cheddar, Northwest Rat Gang.
Sergio Lacour's Love Line.
It's Sergio's Love Lines with Sergio LaCour. Go to the phone line. Tell them who we just
Sea Monster Radio. Mo Jams. It's your jam.
We're live. Welcome to Mojam Mondays. This is KZ of KZ Music Media. Caller Goddess for Mojam Mondays.
Just my opinion. God is inspiration all day and all night. Saturdays on RainierAvenueRadio.world. Metro League High School football is back.
You tacklers off to the races. He could go all the way. He could go.
Touchdown! The return of Metro League High School football, Friday and Saturday nights on Rainier Avenue Radio.
Makes a stutter step inside, breaks a tackle. He's off the run. He's going to take it all the way. He's going to take it all the way on the sideline.
Exciting Metro League football live on Rainier Avenue Radio.world. It's back.
No, you can't get enough of Rainier Avenue Radio.world.
Can't get enough of that. Can't get enough of that. Put your pants up. Say it loud.
I am Rick DuPree. This is Monday Night Sports. Welcome to another show. Yes, we are here and to recap the Seahawks. Struggling. What can I say? That's we'll talk more about that. Still a lot of football left to be played, but we keep saying this every week, and every week as you have another little mark in the lost column, it doesn't look good. Anyway, with that said, though, I want to just before we turn our attention toward the Seahawks and before we bring on the big guy, just want to remind you have weekend of more prep football coming up, the semifinals in the 3A state playoffs. So big wins last weekend, and a little bit of a surprise. O'Day was knocked out by number 6 Kennewick 27-21. And so Kennewick, who is ranked number 6, they will take on number 2 Eastside Catholic. Eastside Catholic was a big winner over Mount Spokane, 38-14. And that game you can hear live right here on Rainier Avenue Radio this Saturday at 4 p.m. You can hear it. You can see the stream. Tune in to Rainier Avenue Radio. Go to our YouTube, Facebook, or Twitch pages, and you can see the stream, hear the game. And we'll also bring you the other semifinal game at 1 o'clock, and that features number 5 Marysville Pilchuck against the number 1 ranked, undefeated 12-0 Bellevue Wolverines. So both of those games right here on Rainier Avenue Radio. Then we'll take you the following weekend all the way down to Puyallup and for the championship game. Yeah, right there on, December 4th, Spark Stadium in Puyallup. So make sure to keep it tuned right here to Rainier Avenue Radio for all of your prep football. There you see the bracket, and man, some exciting football, and that is coming up right here on Rainier Avenue Radio. Well, as I mentioned, the Seahawks. where do we start? And the question got Seahawks, have the worst start since I think it was 2009, if I'm not mistaken. And what's going on? And you know what? We actually have some good sound. I want to hear what we'll go to it shortly. Both linebacker Jordan Brooks and then also receiver Tyler Lockett, and they have some good comments, and I think shedding some light on a little bit about what's going on. But I want to take a look, and I'm not a big guy looking at the numbers, but I do want to take a look at the numbers because I think that really tells the story in a lot of ways. So yesterday, 23-13 loss, obviously, to Arizona Cardinals. The Seahawks fall to 3-7. And some of the numbers I think are important. And Daniel, if you want to throw up and show some of the highlights as I'm, talking through this, that's totally cool. I'm sure any of the Seahawks fans have seen it. They don't want to see it again. But no, with that said, though, and this is becoming a reoccurring thing. Now, the defense had been playing better. And although didn't play horrible yesterday, I just could not make stops when they had to make them. And that's, I don't care, who you are at some point. I mean, you have to make plays at certain points in the game. And the Seahawks just didn't do that. But looking at the numbers. So, and this is becoming a common theme. So Arizona out, what's the word I'm looking for? Total yards, outperformed the Seahawks 413 to 266. And my concern is, and we'll talk about this in a minute, is that the Seahawks, offense. I mean, we're talking about bringing Shane Waldron and this high potent offense. You got the players, but at this point they ain't getting it done. That's just the bottom line. 180 yards in the air, 86 on the ground for the Seahawks. 5.4 yards per play. They gave up 413, 318 of those in the air to a backup quarterback, Colt McCoy. So that's concerning. But here they gave up 29 first downs. The Cardinals were 50% on third down efficiency. They were 7 of 14. They converted their only fourth down, try. And here's something that is becoming an all too common theme. Arizona had the ball 40 minutes, 22 seconds to the Seahawks, 19 minutes and 38 seconds. I'm sorry, you just can't win a game if your opponent has the ball twice as long as you do and your defense is on the field twice as long as theirs. I mean, that just, you're not going to win many ball games, and we see it with a 3-7 record. That is concerning, and somehow the Seahawks have to figure out, how to fix that. Now, they were in the game. They were in the game, and when they scored the touchdown, and again, aided by the big pass play from Russell, Wilson to Tyler Lockett. And then, I mean, that was a great drive. That was really the only great drive they had of the game. But you know what? They made that drive in the fourth quarter when they needed it to pull to within 3. So now you're field goal away. It's a one-score game, and the defense could not make a stop. They couldn't get Arizona off the field, and the Cardinals took it down, and those are things. I mean, when you have to make a play, you got to make the play. Bottom line, there's no other way to say it. You got to figure it out. You got to dig deep down, and you got to make the play. And the Seahawks defense, unfortunately, just was not able to stop the Cardinals on that last drive and make a play. And that, I'm not going to say that was the difference in the game, because, I looked at this offense, and again, an offense that is supposed to be, a high scoring, high potent offense. And they are not getting it done. And this shows you, as you take a look at this roster, and they've got the talent on the roster. I mean, that's, in my opinion, that's not it. They just aren't making the plays. And, football, we've talked about this year in and year out. To win a championship, you have to have several things going for you. Number one, you got to be good. You got to have the talent. Number two, you have to stay healthy. That that's just the bottom line. There's going to be injuries, and again, you look at Arizona, and with Colt McCoy at quarterback, they're 2-1 now. So with Kyler Murray out, missing yesterday was his third week, missing action. You got to stay healthy, and when you have injuries, hopefully it's nothing that's a season-ending injury like Chris Carson. That's a big blow to the Seahawks. And when you have replacements and they got to get the job done. And then the third thing I always talk about is you got to have some luck. The ball's got to bounce your way, and the ball just has not bounced the Seahawks way very often this season so far. It's you've been saying this the last couple of weeks, but I mean this really is. I mean it's do or die. From this point, you got to get hot. I mean you got some teams that are warming up and playing really, really, really well right now. The Seahawks are not one of them. Somehow they got to dig down and fight. If they want to see the postseason, they have to turn it around and get on a winning streak. And again, I think one of the ways that happens is the offense has to be more consistent. And they just haven't been. Let's do this. Let's take a listen to Tyler Lockett, because I think he sums it up. There were a lot of questions yesterday, and just took a portion of his post-game interview, but he kind of sums it up and gives you a sense of what, from his perspective, what the offense needs to do and what's lacking. And then I'll talk a little bit more about that after we hear. Go ahead and play that cut from Tyler Lockett.
Pete hit it on the nail. I think the biggest thing, man, is we're not controlling the game by, controlling the possessions, and we're not getting it on third down. And it's putting us on the sideline, and when we're going against other teams who are really good at controlling the clock, it puts us in harder positions to be able to get going as an offense. I think second time we got the ball in the game, it was going into the second quarter, almost. And so it's hard to be able to get in a groove, and it's hard to find a rhythm when you're seeing like, oh, this play worked and that play worked, but it's like we're still trying to get within our first 10, 15 plays that we already, then pretty much had out just through game plans. And so once we finally get the things going, it's like, oh, now we got to get the third down. We're not getting the third down. So now it's like we go back on the sideline. If we, were 50% better, at this point of being able to get the third downs, the games would look entirely different, than what it would be. Our defense wouldn't be out on the field as much as they are, and we'd be able to control the game and control the clock. There's a lot of great stuff that we're doing. It's just we're not being able to finish out those drives, and that's the thing that's hurting is we're starting on the 20 or the 25, and we're getting it all the way to the 40 and the 45, and if we get that first down, we can finally get on their side of the field. And if we don't get anything, then we can be able to play the, whatever it's called, being able to put them closer to their end zone so we can play, fields. And that's something that we're not doing. We're having to try to travel 75, 80 yards every single time we get the ball instead of being able to put ourselves in position to control the field as well, in this game of football.
When you look at the third down, when you look at your guys' third downs, either on tape or when you're out there, what are you seeing? What's the problem?
Honestly, man, like all these teams is not playing what they play on film. Like they're literally not. So it's hard to be able to get ready because you don't know what you're going to get. Every time you go against a team, they might place all man-to-man, their whole entire 7-8 games, and then they turn around and play us, and they don't play man once. So it's like, when you're looking at what teams are doing consistently week in and week out, it's like nobody's doing that against us. And so we have to be able, like I said, I keep saying adjust because we have to be able to understand what teams are doing. And once we finally figure out the game plan, that's when we're able to get things moving. And so that's the thing that, we're all trying to figure out and we're all trying to learn because teams are just throwing out different coverages. And, when you're getting ready for a week and you're seeing what they're doing consistently and this is what we're planning for and they're not doing any of the stuff that they normally do, you got to be able to figure things out faster. Yes.
Sorry, I thought you were done. Is that a new issue that hasn't cropped up in previous seasons?
Oh, yeah, they did that last year. That's just, and that's the thing. Like, teams play different ways. And that's why I said the biggest thing is for us that I've learned just in general as a player is be able to watch your film, but also be able to know what teams, try to play chess, right? Like figure out what could stop you and figure out what teams are doing to try to stop you. That way you can have an idea of like what we can do to be able to make things better, because we can be able to have a great week of practice. We can be able to know what defense they're going to play, all that type of stuff. But we also have to be able to understand that in the game, what we're seeing, if it's different than what it is that we know as players, then we got to be able to like adapt to what it is that they're showing us. So that's why I say that's the biggest thing. That's the biggest thing with us being able to convert third downs. That's the biggest thing with us being able to move the ball forward, is just being able to see like, what are they playing and what do we need to do to beat it? And the faster that we can learn that, if we can be able to learn that as players faster in the second quarter or the first quarter, then the whole entire game will look different.
You say that teams are showing you new things on third down. Is it things that you
No,
hadn't
they're
seen?
showing us new things, period.
Okay.
Like in the whole game. It's not – there's some stuff that, they're playing that's similar, but there's other things that they're throwing out there just in the game that's different than what they're used to playing in general.
I know in the second half of last season when your offense had its issues, you were facing a lot more two deep safeties. How much do you feel like you're seeing that now compared to then?
I mean, we still see two deep safeties and stuff like that, but, slowly but surely, I think we're doing a way better job being able to run the ball, being able to get those yards to where we're in 2nd and 2, to where we're already at 3rd and 4. We're getting everything that we want. The biggest thing is just us being able to get over that hump of once we get to the sticks and we move the ball to another first down, we're one of the best teams when it comes to 1st and 2nd down. And so if we can be able to stay true to being the best team on 1st and 2nd down, and if we can get better each week on 3rd down, then we look like a whole different team. But when you're not getting the 3rd downs and you're one of the best on 1st and 2nd down, then we never get a chance to see those 1st and 2nd downs again, because it's like we got to get the first on 1st or 2nd. So if we can be able to get to a place where we understand our identity on 3rd down, it'll put us in a better position. So that way we can be able to move the sticks, hold the ball, be able to control the game, control the tempo, whatever we need to do to put ourselves in the best situation to win.
Tyler, help me understand why.
So there you have it. And one of the things I think that really rang loud and clear for me, you talked about they're not really seeing what they are game planning for. But and as you said, they've got to recognize that sooner, and they have to make the adjustments. I mean, there's only so much, a team can throw at you. I mean, you got a few different zone type of coverages, but you see it, you recognize it, you get in those open areas, and the opponents seem to be able to find those open seams against the Seahawks. And I don't know why the Seahawks are struggling so much in finding that, against their opponents. And then, secondly, if they're in man, especially if you got a single coverage, then you got to take advantage, especially if you got single coverage on the outside on a guy like DK Metcalf, who is so physical. As I'm looking at the stats, and this is an issue. DK four catches yesterday for 31 yards. 7.8 yards per catch. I mean, this is a big play guy, and he's touching the ball basically 4 times, and his average is less than 10 yards. That is unacceptable. I mean, you got to figure out a way to get him the ball. Tyler Lockett, 4 for 115, had the 2 big catches, and he has a way of finding those open seams. I love Gerald Everett. Gerald Everett yesterday, 3 catches for 37 yards. He is so physical. You got to find a way to get him the ball more, as well as Will Dissly. I've said this for 3 seasons now. I love this tight end core that the Seahawks have. Greg Olsen last year, and he retires. You bring in Gerald Everett. Will Dissly has stayed relatively healthy this year in comparison to previous seasons. You got to figure out a way, but a huge issue is, again, the running game. You lose your best guy, Chris Carson. He's gone for the season, and hopefully not a career-ending type of thing. They say it's not. He's got to have surgery, and whenever you think you hear neck, you're concerned. But here's a guy, Chris Carson, that you hope comes back still young, still has a few years. I believe 27, if I'm not mistaken. But You lose him. Alex Collins has done a great job stepping in, but 10 carries yesterday, 36 yards. DJ Dallas 4 for 25, had the touchdown, but that is an issue. If I'm John Snyder, if I'm the GM, I'm saying that there are two huge priorities for me this off season. And yeah, you don't want to start thinking about that too soon, but you got to be thinking about, number one, you got to get a running back. You have to get a quality running back that is the type of guy who you can give the ball 20 times a game. He can do that. He can block. You don't have to be a great blocker, but you got to be able to put a body on a guy and when you have to, and then slip out and be, kind of that secondary receiver. If Russell Wilson is getting too much pressure, he can dump it off to you. But a guy that can be someone who works in that passing game as well. That has to happen. And then on the other side of the ball, you have to get some pass rushers. I mean, the Seahawks don't put enough pressure on opposing QBs. I mean, they just don't. I mean, Colt McCoy yesterday looked like, an all-pro. He was 35 of 44 for 328 yards and 2 touchdowns. I mean, come on. Just week in and week out, quarterbacks come in and they have the game of the season. And that just, you've got to get pressure. I mean, I don't care at this level, if you give a quarterback time, he's going to find his receivers. And if you give him time, that puts so much more pressure on your DBs to try to cover guys that are extremely fast and elusive. And again, there's a huge difference if you're talking 3 seconds versus 5 or 6 seconds. I mean, it just is. And so those are two areas that the Seahawks have to look to the offseason. And then if you lose any of your top players, you've got to shore those spots up as well. And then I'm concerned you got a guy who is a future Hall of Famer in Bobby Wagner. And, he's getting older. How much longer can he continue to play at the level he's playing? And thank God he is still playing at the level. I mean, he is a man out there, and he just gets it done, week in and week out, year in and year out. But, this team, I mean, again, you can't write the season off yet. You've got 7 more games. So, I mean, if you run the table here, you can finish up 10-7. Does that get you in the playoffs? Probably, maybe. But now is the time. Either you turn it around now, or you start thinking about 2022. I'm Rick DuPree. This is Monday Night Sports, and let's see, we got a little bit more time. But you know what? Let's listen. One of those young players who I like, and this defense certainly can be built around is Jordan Brooks. We haven't heard from him here on Monday night, so we got just a short clip. But listen to what he says, and then I want to talk about kind of his assessment coming out of this. Dan, go ahead and play the Jordan Brooks cuts. It's short, about maybe a minute and a half, 2 minutes.
McCoy would start today, and what was the plan against him?
Kind of suspected it all week. We knew that they had a bye week after this game, and so we thought maybe they wanted to hold Kyler back. So we kind of prepared for both quarterbacks.
What was he able to do well today, McCoy?
He extended plays. He did a good job. You got to give him credit, and we got to execute better on our part. He got out of pocket a couple times and extended plays and made plays.
How much of a missed opportunity does this feel like when you face a team without its starting quarterback, without its number one receiver?
Yeah, it's a missed opportunity for sure. Regardless who's playing quarterback, we lost. And so every game is an opportunity to win, and we didn't do that.
What's the answer to all the drop-offs and short passes underneath coverage teams that they do with all year? How do you counteract that?
The short passes?
Yeah, underneath coverage.
Yeah, we want to stay deep, and so, make sure we don't give anything over the top and then rally to the short passes.
What was Pete like after the game?
Just like everybody else, upset, disappointed. You got as much talent that we have on this roster, it's disappointing, and so just like everybody else, but we got to keep going, and still think there's hope. I'm still optimistic.
Jamal was just saying similar. He still believes in the team. But what gives you guys?
Daniel, let's go ahead and come out of that. So you heard, yeah, it's disappointing, but they're still optimistic. And I think that's, you got to get to a point where you say, okay, enough is enough. They've got the players, and their players got to make plays. It's as simple as that. And again, this is the time you have to turn it around now, because if you don't, you can kiss the season goodbye. Again, go back to the numbers. I said, you've got, and I think Jordan Brooks said it best. It doesn't matter whether it's a backup starter, whatever the case may be. Colt McCoy did a great job of extending the plays. You've got to not only get pressure on a guy, but you can't let him, get outside of that pressure. He had a couple good runs, good scrambles. I'm looking at, he had 6 carries, 18 yards. Better than that, because he got a couple sacks there, but a couple good plays where he used his legs and made some really good plays. And that's, again, that's the thing. You have to somehow figure out a way to keep keep a guy, in the pocket, put that pressure on him. Again, as I mentioned a moment ago, if any quarterback, in my opinion, any quarterback in the NFL, you give him the time, he's going to pick you apart. It just that's going to happen. And so, Seahawks have to find a way. So moving forward, what has to happen? One is defensively, we had seen improvement up to, this game yesterday. And even yesterday, I'm not totally disappointed with the defense. Defense, again, did not, that final drive, where the Cardinals took it down, in the fourth quarter and scored. That's, you have to figure out a way to make a stop, just bottom line. And you got to get more 3 and outs. And when you're allowing a team to convert 50% of their third down opportunities, that's just, that's too much. So, moving forward, you have to figure out a way. A guy I love, Carlos Dunlap, let's get him in. Jamal Adams, he is best when he is, being used as a rusher, man. You gotta give him more opportunities like that. I'm just, get him out of coverage and get him in, put him in a position where he is best. We saw that last year, and we're not seeing it this year. It's just, if you bring in another DB so you can have him in that position. He is a weapon. And again, I'm on the outside looking in, but they're not using that weapon. So that it has to change. And then offensively, is there a running back out there? Somehow you have to establish a better running game. And like Tyler Lockett said, you have to convert on third down. You just have to convert on third down. Again, looking yesterday, the Seahawks on third down, they were 2 of 10. That's 20%. Pardon my grammar, but you ain't winning many games if you are only converting 20% of your third downs. And again, they have to, again, converting a third down means you got the ball longer. Your defense isn't on the field as long. Again, the Cardinals had the ball twice as long, 40 minutes, 22 seconds to the Seahawks, 19 minutes, 38 seconds. You can't win games like that. So there you have it. That's my assessment, at least. We will see next week on Monday night. So tune in for us. We'll bring you a special show. And then go back to the Seahawks after you listen to us here on Monday night. Want to remind you again, a couple of things coming up this weekend. Make sure to keep it right here on Rainier Avenue Radio, as we will bring you more, I was going to say Metro League, but more state action, the semifinals, 3A semifinals, 1 o'clock right here on Rainier Avenue Radio. Number 5, Marysville Pilchuck taking on number 1, undefeated Bellevue. That game is at 1 o'clock. You can hear it here on Rainier Avenue Radio. If you don't have the app, go to the App Store, get the Rainier Avenue Radio app, and you can tune in and watch the stream on Rainier Avenue Radio's Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch pages. And then following that game at 4 o'clock, number 6, Kennewick, and number 2, Eastside Catholic. And we will take you then all the way to the state championship the following week down at Puyallup Spark Stadium, and the winners of those games. So that's right here on Rainier Avenue Radio. And don't turn that dial. Don't move from your stream wherever however you're getting us, because Granville Pepe Lidline is next right here on Rainier Avenue Radio. For Daniel B, yep, there he is, Lidline, Granville, sporting the LA cap. So they are next. Stay tuned right here for Lidline Sports. I'm Rick DuPree, Dupe. If I can spit it out, do I know how to say my name? I was going to say I'm Dupe, then DuPree. Anyway, I'm Dupe, Rick DuPree. Hope you enjoyed the show. Check us out next week right here on Rainier Avenue Radio. Until then, peace and God bless.